In this section, I'm going to show you how to take a normal bitmap image, in this case a JPEG, and extrude it to give it a 3D look like this spinning shield. Now technically you can't extrude bitmap images. You have to create spline objects and convert them to extrusions in the Boris timeline, then map the bitmap image to the spline object's face. But I'm going to show you a quick way to get extrusions out of bitmap files. This method is quick and easy and requires both Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. Alright, well the first thing we're going to do is open the logo in Adobe Photoshop. Now, this works best obviously if you have an irregularly shaped logo, because if it's a regular square or a circle, you're going to be able to draw it really easily in red. I wouldn't be too surprised if you said, well, the one in front of you now I could draw pretty easily in red too, because it's fairly easy to draw this with the pen tool. However, if you're crunched on time and you really need an accurate representation quickly, this is a good way to get this done. What I'm going to do is use the selection tool to select around the outside of the image. I'm going to inverse that selection. So now I've got a path around the shape, and it was very easy to get that. I just selected the white areas and then did Control and Shift plus I, which is invert selection. So now I've got my image selected here. The next thing I'm going to do is come over here to Paths. I'm going to click Paths, and down here there's a little button that says Make Work Path from Selection. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and you'll see a path come into the window here. You can see this work path here. What I'm going to do now is export this path, and it's very simple. File, Export Paths to Illustrator. And I'm just going to call it Boris Shield, and it's going to default as an Adobe Illustrator file. And the path is the work path. You can rename the path. You can have a bunch of different paths. For this one we only have one, so I'm going to save that out. Next thing I'm going to do is open Adobe Illustrator. And with very little knowledge of Illustrator, you can get this done. I'm going to go File, Open. I'm going to find that file that I just saved, which is Boris Shield AI. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to see nothing at first, which is absolutely normal. In preview mode, I'm going to hit Control Y to go to outline mode, and lo and behold, there's my path. And man, is that clean or what? It's nice and clean, big outline of the shield that I had earlier. I'm going to select this because the first thing I need to do is fill this in. Double click that. It doesn't matter what color, I'm just going to pick black. And I filled it in, and you can't see it yet. Again, we're going to go back to the preview mode by hitting Control Y. And I've got these crop marks here. I don't know if you can see these. And they're gonna automatically be built here, and what I'm going to need to do is release those. So I'm going to go Object, Crop Marks, Release. If you leave those in, they'll show up in red, and it's very hard to get rid of them, especially if you do any kind of rotating in 3D space of this image, which I assume is what you're going to do. Probably extrude some bitmap image with this method. The only thing left to do is to save this. File, Save As. I'm going to save it as an EPS. I have more luck with EPS, but I'm going to name it Boris Shield EPS, and I'm going to save it. Version 10 is fine. Older versions of Boris RED preferred version 8 of Illustrator, but this is fine for this. I'm using 3GL, and it allows me to use version 10. So that's it. Now, between those two, that took me, what, 2 minutes maybe? Not even? Now I'm ready to bring this extrusion into Boris RED. So let me open up 3GL here. I'm going to delete this track here, so I only have one track, and I'm going to make EPS file my selection. Box is going to come up, and I will select the EPS file that I just saved, Boris Shield EPS. And there it is. Now it's very big. I'll just bring it down just a little bit to fit on the screen there. That looks good, and I'll make that a constant. I'm also going to change this from a 3D plane to a 3D extrusion, just to show you how easy it is. This is going to take a second here with this computer, and there it goes. And now, finally, I'm going to spin it just a little bit so you can see that nice clean edge there that it's got. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and raise the scale here and the look at that nice clean edge we've got here, and a big thick extruded plate. Okay, I'm going to put this back. Go back down to half, and draft. The next thing I want to do, since we're already here, I figure I'll just keep this going here. I'm going to make it spin one time so you can see how it's going to work here. It's going to spin all the way around. Next thing I want to do though is map the bitmap to the extrusion. So we're going to go over here to the Textures tab. Get rid of these tools. And here you have a face count, how many faces you're going to have. And these mean different things. If you use 4, it'll map separate ones to all 4 sides, which is the front, back, the side, and the bevel. If you use 3, it'll only use 3 textures, 2 and 1, and so on. We're only going to use 1. Actually, yeah, we'll use 1, and I'm going to mark it here. And automatically it brings up the default image of video 1. That's not exactly what I want, so I need to come down here, twirl down, and it says front texture right here, video 1. Well, I'm going to change that to still image file. Right here, Boris Shield. And there you go. And you can see it's not exactly fitting. Let's go this way a little bit. You can see it doesn't exactly fit. Go back to the Textures tab. And that's because we have it set to clip. Let's try stretch. And that 9 times out of 10 works just perfectly. You can see we've got stretch here. So let's go here. We'll put it flat. And that is a very good, nice representation of what we were trying to do. We were trying to extrude a bitmap image. And with just a few extra steps, we did it very easily. Again, this would not be that hard to draw in Red with your pen tool. So if you really wanted to, you could come in and practice with your pen tool and go ahead and draw it. However, some of us aren't so skilled with Illustrator and with pen tools and stuff, so we need to find different ways to cheat. And that's basically what I just showed you as a way to cheat there. I'm going to show you this edge. See that nice edge there? And I've got it in high quality mode, that's why it's taking a little bit to render those changes. But look at that, and the shadows, that's just amazing to me. Really, really nice quality vector imaging. Let me pull this back down. Alright, so you've got, let me go ahead and close this up. And I'll put a color on here, a solid color behind it. I think I'd rather see, let's see, light blue maybe? See a light blue back there? Yeah, it looks nice. Spin around like so. Now if we want a little more depth, just go up to the Extrusion tab. Extrusion tab and increase this amount here. You can get a big fat extrusion or a littler one, however you want. I tend to like them nice and defined. The bevel type is either going to be straight, concave, or convex. You can see the differences there. That's pretty self-explanatory. The bevel amount, how much is the bevel? That's pretty self-explanatory. Back bevels is important if you'd like the bevel on the back as well as on the front. This is defaulted to off, but I like it on. If you're going to see the back of an image, it's nice to have the back bevels. So now we can render this out and take a look at it. And you know how now to get a bitmap image extruded in Boris RED.